You guys, I just want to give you a quick introduction to a still life. I don't think that any of us have never have, is that proper English, ever seen a still life before, but let's get started. So, of course, my little button's down there. There we go. There we go. So, the history of still life. A still life is a work of art, a drawing or painting, usually of a group of objects. Objects do not move, hence the word still. In the past, these objects tended to be flowers, fruit, and other kind of food, and dead animals, hence life. The French for still life is nature morte, meaning dead nature. You get the idea. Nowadays, though, the still life can mean any object small enough to be put in front of you, usually on a table. These items are usually readily found, common household items as artists were working on their craft and used what they had available. The still life goes back all the way to the Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians painted stacks of offerings for the gods in temples. Can you recognize any of these objects? Right here, it looks like some sort of basket, some sort of animals. Looks like maybe, I don't know what this would be, like a weapon possibly to protect them in the afternoon. But down here it says you can see a basket of figs, grapes, bread, a leg of beef, duck, more meat, and a cucumber. Quite a feast for the gods. I saw different things. You can see different things. But this is an example of a still life. There are many mosaics. The Greeks and the Romans were known for their mosaics, tiny little pieces of stone put together to make a painting. There are many mosaics of objects you can see on the floors of villas in museums and wall painting too, especially at Pompeii, the Roman town covered by ash in the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Feel free to research any of this if you like these styles on your own. In the 16th century Europe, this is the creme de la creme of still lifes. This is what people think about when we say the word still life. They think about the Dutch painters and their use of light. We have Caravaggio here. We have Hans Holbein, the younger here. These paintings are absolutely ginormous in real life, by the way, but they are probably two of the most famous still lifes where you can see that this one is set on a table and this one is more of a shelves and brackets, whatnot. These both contain people, although for my interpretation of a still life, I would not include them, but it's up to you. Here's more of a traditional still life. All right. We have our lovely dead fowl. We have some lovely flowers. Taxidermy animals, we use more than just going to the butcher shop. We'll use taxidermy animals in college to draw, and then also flowers with fruit. Once again, what's around the house, what's outside the house. All right, let's see the next one. And then this is probably what you guys think about: breakfast, meals, and banquets, coffee pots, vases, flowers, fruits, anything like that, a little bit more food forward. Okay. And then we just started seeing this idea of the immortal, the skull, and still lifes as it was going on. This one's pretty crazy. We have him holding something over here. We have some bubbles. So we have kind of a a little bit more surreal over here. But again, just very different takes on a still life. This one's more of an altar. You can see the coins and the offerings here. And here we have more of a collection, very organized, both organized, just organized in different ways. All right, there's another one. Very nice because of this use of space. This is the rule of thirds here. It's weighted here. Everything's pointing to this shell. Something's very important about this shell. Something's going to happen with this shell. Not quite sure, but everything pointing to there will tell me that. All right. Then we got into a very cool, one of my favorites, trompe l'oeil, which means trick the eye. And I'm probably not saying that right, Mercer? Sometimes called illusionism. It's a style of painting which gives the appearance of three-dimensional or photographic realism. The Boston Museum downtown has some of the best photorealism. I absolutely love. They have some Pitos, and he's one of my favorites. But again, just a different way you can do still lifes. You don't just have to put stuff on a table. Okay. And then we kind of move towards abstraction of the still life. This is a very traditional. This is probably what you really see kids painting fruit in a bowl or students painting fruit in a bowl with a jug and some fabric wrap, because this is very technically difficult. Okay, folded fabric is difficult, so a lot of artists will do that. This one is a still life of just all different sunflowers. Yeah. All right. And then we get a little crazy. If we look at the time here, why does this start happening, right? Why does the abstraction start? And we start looking at the dates here, and it's because the camera gets invented. All right? Artists no longer are needed to just capture real life. They don't need to document life anymore. There's a new technology that does it quicker, so and faster and cheaper, and so artists really have this beautiful time now to be able to think creatively and come up with new ideas and really drive creativity to what we know it today. This one's called Picasso Still Life with Fruit Dish on a Table. All right. And then this is a George Braque candlestick and playing cards on a table, oil canvas. Okay. Again, just learning about still life. And then we jump to this idea of photorealism. Okay, so more of a collage and montage, really, more than what we would consider a traditional still life, but they are still lifes. These objects are not moving, they have been artfully organized. The difference here is that these items are highly personal and chosen specifically to have a concept. Because of the camera, we now see artists having to be conceptual. It's no longer just to be good technically. All right, now you have to think conceptually. You need to personalize it. We're letting the artist, the person into the artist's life. We're really involving them. Whereas before, we are just looking at a bunch of kind of objects that aren't really meaningful and personal. All right, so that is going to be the end of that. But let's just talk about Audrey Flack real quickly. So, Audrey Flack, you don't have to use Audrey Flack as your inspiration. You can use her, you can look her up, you can find other artists that look like hers. All right, but she's a great take on the modern still life, a lot more personal than just setting up what is readily available. Her work combines meaningful objects with a clear theme or prompt. So, what does this mean for you guys? So, your summative assignment is to set up a file, your first name, your last name, title of still life art. You can choose 13 by 19, 19 by 13, or 13 by 13, depending if you want to work portrait or landscape. I will tell you that most of you guys will be 19 inches wide by 13 inches tall for this one, because it's most still lifes are going to be landscapes. Not all of them, and you can decide. Color mode is CMYK, and your DPI is 300. You must find at least 10 items for a personal interruption of a still life. Not all the objects have to be meaningful. You may combine traditional still life objects, common everyday objects, with objects that show us your personality or something about you that you want to communicate. You are communicating through the still life who something about yourself. Okay, so whatever that is. The objects must be arranged as a still life, overlapping, different heights, etc. You can be inspired by any of the still life artists that you just saw, not just Audrey Flack, and absolutely 1000% do more research, visual research on your own. And you must use the filters to transition the photos you use into traditional art materials. Okay, so we're taking those photos that you're finding, all right, and then you need to unify them somehow to make them look like they have always gone together. Okay, unifying all items, all images to be a cohesive piece of artwork. Okay. Once again, you get to bring in all of the skills that you know how to do already. You get to be very creative with this if you want to, or you can be very traditional if you choose to do that as well. I love this example here, and this is where I'm going to leave you. All right. It's done in a very traditional still life way, something that we would totally see from the Dutch painters in the 16th and 17th century. However, they have brought in a lovely Star Wars reference, so you really get to know a little bit about this person. Once again, there's 10 items easily in this painting. All right, they used a nice background. They used the filter on that. They changed the color of that. We know how to do all of that. All right. The only thing we don't know how to do right now is maybe add in some extra light, a lighting source. All right. And that's going to be a mini lesson when I return. So get inspired by this, get inspired by any, all right, of maybe Audrey Flack, maybe Picasso still lifes. Okay. Maybe a little bit of trompe l'oeil. The nice thing is that you've got all these last names that you can quickly search up. All right. If you find something that you like, and there you go. All right.